Welcome back to another episode of Three Siblings Walk Into a Bar. My name is Sage, and I'm the middle sibling.
I'm Storm, the youngest sibling.
I'm Shay, the oldest sibling.
We all touched our hair because right when you pressed record and started counting down, we were all like,
So I'm not used to my hair being this long, and so this tattoo throws me off because my hair's thinning because I'm getting old. But there's this one piece of hair that sticks out, and I thought like maybe I don't know. Anyways.
Your tattoo was moving.
Yeah,
it was just moving.
Yeah.
There's no way. Both of our parents have gorgeous thick hair.
That's what I said until I looked at my scalp and I can see it. I just cut it all.
Jesus Christ. Funny.
What is up with people scaring us? Is it your kid too?
Yeah, it's my oldest.
Yeah, because Madeline did it last time, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Come on, go lay down.
My animals
Cats and
decided
dogs
they
and
wanna
kids.
play.
What is
Yeah.
happening?
Did not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I say it all the time, but like we're real people. These are just
Yes.
It's just our life. It's just how it happens.
She's just sitting here staring at me now, and now I feel uncomfortable. What?
Shut the door, please. Sorry.
I want a Maine Coon. Dad sent us that video, and I want
They're
one. I've always
weird-looking.
wanted one.
Those
I think they're the cutest little
They
things
look like Ron
ever.
Every
Like
Maine
what?
Coon looks like
Ron Perlman.
Who?
He played
Hellboy.
Hellboy, like the original
Oh,
Hellboy.
yeah. Okay.
All Maine Coons look like Ron.
Oh, God, I want one so bad. I was talking to the people at work, and I was like, I'm going to buy a whole bunch of land, and I want ducks, maybe a donkey, and a really big fat pig that my kids can ride, and a Maine Coon.
Yeah.
And then I'm good. I'm set. That's
Everything's
what I want.
Yeah.
I'll never be sad ever again.
Oh my God. My TikTok has become people who own monkeys, like suburban people who own monkeys. And I think there's a documentary or something going on right now. It's like the chimp.
Yeah.
So
chimp.
I just keep seeing the lady with the lips and the blonde hair. That's all I keep
I
seeing.
haven't seen this.
There's a documentary about like people who own like chimps and monkeys and apes and stuff like that. And there's like this one specific woman that everyone has latched onto, and she has fake hair. Like she had her scalp ripped off by an ape, and she just wears wigs now. But she has them in her home, and it's like this weird thing. But that's all I keep seeing.
Is this like a Tiger King situation?
It seems like it. I haven't watched it, but I've seen kind of TikToks about it. But it seems like kind of like that.
I think because she sells them, but she also like takes them in. It's like a sanctuary or something. And, yeah, I'm seeing. All I'm hearing is there's an ape named Tonka, and she feeds him whipped cream, Reese's whipped cream, and McDonald's chicken nuggets. That's all that I've seen. But I haven't seen the documentary either, so I don't know.
That can't be healthy for a chimp.
No,
I know.
No, but then there's also a video of her, and she's like, "I don't do that every day. They get plenty of produce." Sorry, I'm gonna knock it. So.
That's crazy. I haven't seen this and heard about this at all. Now I got to go look it up.
It'll be on your TikTok later.
Yeah.
Now that we talked about it.
I don't even know what streaming service it's on because I can't find it, so I don't know where it is.
I'm have to look it up. Well, did you see? Speaking of streaming services, you know the people that made the Jeffrey Dahmer with Evan Peterson or whatever his name is? They made a new one, and it's about, I forgot their names, but it's about the brothers that killed their family or killed their parents for money or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That's what this new one's about.
Yeah.
It comes out soon. I'm not sure exactly what, but 19th. Soon. Oh, sorry.
My Netflix is scrolling across my TV right now. I think it's the 19th. Yeah.
Okay, so next week.
Oh, dope. Okay.
It's wild to me how like similar the people. I don't know who the actors are, but they look.
I don't know.
Exactly the same. Really bad.
I saw this this TikTok, or maybe it was a meme. I don't know, and it said like, I was gonna send it to y'all. I should have, but it said, you probably have seen it. Psychiatrists have said that it's a major red flag if you like enjoy listening to true crime.
What?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Well,
yeah.
So like
exactly.
everybody's a red flag? I'm like, what is even happening?
But then again,
sometimes
like,
it does make me sad, and I have to like take a break.
Yeah.
But
but then
I
again,
still
I
go
talk
right
to
back.
some people, and some people that are into it, like the way that we talk to each other about it, I can see like a third party seeing that and being
yeah, they don't
like,
maybe not
I get it.
understand
That's weird.
our humor or whatever.
Right. Yeah. I get it, but I don't know. I feel like it's common.
I feel like it is. Because everybody always watched, even before like true crime podcasts were a thing, everybody always watched like Dateline and all that
exactly.
shit. So I'm
America's
like, it's
Most
not
Wanted, stuff like that. Yeah.
And I'm like, you watch stuff like NCIS and Criminal Minds, which is pretty much the same thing. It's just not real life.
Right.
So I'm like,
Criminal Minds.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I love that show.
Oh my god. Spencer Reed. Hey, sir. How you doing?
My god.
I never got into
him.
Criminal Minds. SVU.
You should.
I like SVU too.
I do.
Is that the one with
Ice-T
in it?
Yes. Yeah. And there's this old video from like Vine, and this guy talks about her name, Mariska
Hargitay or whatever.
Whatever. So he says her name wrong, and I was like, oh, that's just how you say it. So it was a joke on like gay, obviously. And I have said her name wrong for years, and someone just corrected me, like not even like months ago. And Mariska Hargitay is her last name, and Hardigay is what I have been saying for years. Hargitay, but yeah.
Oh my god, SVU. I had no idea.
Mariska.
I also loved I think it was NCIS, where they were like a military, whatever.
Oh,
I loved that one.
Yeah.
The goth girl was like totally cool. I loved her.
Was it just CSI? The guy with the red hair and the glasses looked like, is that CSI?
Yeah. Isn't
that
the one
funny little thing?
Which one would they have? And it was like in different cities. Was it like
CSI?
Oh, yeah.
I like
and it'd be like
New
CSI
Orleans
Miami or and they always like right when they look at the body and then they take their sunglasses off and they say something like honey or whatever.
And then that,
and there's a Supernatural episode where they're making fun of it.
Oh my God.
I love that one. Oh my God.
I still haven't started Supernatural because there's like 6,000 seasons of it, and I'm not sure like where to. I guess you just start at the beginning,
was the best.
But I just don't know. I don't know why I haven't started it. I guess
just
I just have to.
Do it.
That's what I tell people. I'm like, listen, I got to talk to somebody about it. So either I'm just going to talk to you about it and you're going to have absolutely no clue what I'm saying, or you can watch it and then you'll know what
I mean, I've probably seen every episode like 20 times. So it's
because they still play reruns. And so I have to watch them when they're on. It's just like,
we've always been like that, like with Charm, Roseanne, stuff like that.
Oh,
we
just
put it on and watch it over.
If it's on, I'm watching.
It's a comfort thing. Yeah. Like I have my certain shows that like Roseanne comes on still every day. She comes. They play it on CMT on the Country Music Channel.
That's amazing.
And I love it. I love it.
Because when I was at home, I always watched. I think it was TNT, and so it would be like it'd be like 2 episodes of Supernatural and then like 2 episodes of Charmed and then like 2 episodes of whatever, and I would just sit and watch all of them. Listen,
my cat is jumping all over the place. He's freaking out.
If you had a Maine Coon, it would just be laying there. That's what I'm saying.
Apparently, that huge, like 80. Our dad sent us a video today and was like, "Son, I think you'd really like this," and I was like, "Why? Why would I?"
I would.
I did. You're right. I do really like this, but
so
there is
bad.
no possible way I could take care of this animal.
I do. I want one so bad. And they kind of act like, everything I've read about them, they kind of act like dogs. And they're like super nice. And Like, I want one so bad. They're so cute and fluffy and just adorable.
I wish. Matt would literally die.
Yeah. Yeah,
well,
he definitely would.
It sounds like a him problem. So
I know.
It's also...
It's like, instead of keeping the cat in a room, you just keep him in a room. And you're like, stay here.
It's 2024. If you haven't gotten your cat allergies under control, sorry.
I mean,
it's on you.
There's nothing you can do.
Oh, speaking of allergies, something, this is totally off base, but something really weird. Deegan is apparently allergic to shellfish.
What?
Like, he used to, okay, so he's eaten shrimp before, and the past, like, 2 times that he's come into contact with it and, like, eaten it, like, he's gotten the tingly mouth, like, you know, and then he was eating the peel and eat shrimp at a restaurant and rubbed his eyes, which big no, but he did that, and his eyes were swollen.
Aww.
And then we were somewhere, and he had just one bite of, I don't remember what it was. It was a different fish, and he got itchy and swollen again. I'm like, okay, well.
You're like, again, sounds like a you problem. So
that's like his dad's like favorite food too.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. So I mean, it's obviously, as far as it seems, it's not like a horrible allergy. Like, he ingested it and he was okay, but he's definitely got an allergy to it.
I wonder if you could, like, because to like get rid of allergies, you have to like expose yourself to it so often that like your body just kind of like grows out of it. So I wonder if he like ate a little bit of it like every other week, just like took a bite, and then dealt with the itchy. If it would
just
like eventually go away, you know.
Maybe. Yeah, totally weird.
Crazy. I hate that for him because I love shrimp.
I know, and he
it's
did
like
too. I mean, yeah, but I mean, it just makes his mouth tingly, a little, itchy, and then his lips were swelling. I'm like, okay, well,
I would deal
that
with
for
it.
you.
Listen, I would just deal with it because I love shrimp so much.
Exactly.
I'd be like, okay.
I don't think I've never really had like an allergic reaction. Kiwi is the only thing that makes my tongue a little tingly, but that's not weird. Like a lot of people.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm not allergic to any kind of food. Well, at least not that I've come into contact with in my 38 years, but just the amoxicillin that Storm and I are both allergic to.
Yeah. I'm not allergic to any food either. I'm allergic to Band-Aids. Yeah. I feel like I'm allergic to so few other things. I think I'm allergic to Dramamine. Just because of how I act.
Headache.
Like, the horrible headaches I get. And I'm allergic to wine. I guess.
I think I'm probably allergic to that too, because I mean, I get a pretty gnarly headache if I just smell it.
That wine, it's something about there's like sulfates or something in it. But some people get them.
They say to drink white wine because white wine doesn't have as many as like red wine does. But I just stay away from it because like I don't want to drink something that's going to give me a horrible headache and then fall asleep. So
I will drink it entire.
I don't like it, really. I don't like how it tastes.
I also don't
depends
like
on what
it,
kind of wine it is.
When you grow up in the Dallas punk scene, they're called space bags. And everyone has them. And those little pockets in your vest, they're everywhere. So I also don't like them, but it's kind of like a nostalgia thing. Like, it's so gross to me, but I will drink it. And I'm going to drink this whole thing.
It's really cheap. It's kind of like Pabst Blue Ribbon. I'm like, does anybody really like Pabst, or is it just cheap? You know what I
mean? So it's probably just like everything all mixed together. I'm telling myself it's nostalgia, but it's actually just because it's $7.
Exactly.
Oh, this is so nostalgic and horrible. I love it so much.
I love it so much.
I'm poor. Help me, I'm poor. Very that. I had to like lighten up the mood a little bit before I tell the story. So I told you guys already, but I was searching for a story to do, And I was like, well, we haven't done a lot of like female serial killers in a long time. So let me search that. And so I did, and we have done a lot of them. So this one we have not done, and I think there's a reason we have not done this. So I need everyone to just like buckle up and be ready for me, because there are some there's some very things to talk about in here, and the way that they're talked about, sometimes they're a little nonchalant. So I just have to preface everybody, before we get started.
I'm gonna leave.
Yeah, I'm gonna be on mute.
Okay.
So while I was reading this story, it's a Victorian time period. It reminded me of American Horror Story, the first one, The Murder House.
Oh yeah,
because there's something that happens in the basement in that one that is similar to what's going on here. So this person's name is Amelia Dyer. And Amelia Dyer was born the youngest of 5 children in a very small village in Pyle Marsh, just east of Bristol. She was a daughter to a master shoemaker, Samuel Hobley, and her mother, Sarah Hobley. Amelia learned to read and write and developed a love for literature and poetry. However, her childhood was very difficult because her mom had a lot of mental illnesses. And a lot of her mental illnesses were brought on by typhus, which was apparently a disease that kind of like ate your brain, basically.
Oh my God.
So her mother, a lot of different issues. She would have a lot of like violent outbursts, and Amelia was there for all of it. She witnessed all of it her entire childhood while she was growing up, until her mother finally died in 1848. Dyer had an older sister, Sarah Ann, who died in 1841 at the age of 6. And a younger sister who was also named Sarah Ann, who died in 1945, and she was just a few months old. Had a cousin who had an illegitimate daughter. So anytime we say illegitimate, it means that they didn't know who the father was, basically. So they illegitimate.
Okay. Yeah.
So the cousin had the baby, and the family decided that the grandparents decided that they were going to just keep the baby, and it was going to become part of the family. So it wasn't really that big of a deal to their family at that time.
Yeah.
After her mother's death, Amelia lived with her aunt in Bristol, and she worked as an apprentice for a corset maker. Her father ended up dying in 1859. Her eldest brother, Thomas, inherited their family shoe business. So in 1861, at the age of 24, Amelia moved into new lodgings in Trinity Street, Bristol. She married a man named George Thomas. Now, George was 59 years old, and she's 24. So to be able, when they got married, to like not cause suspicions, basically they both lied about their ages. So he took 11 years off of her age, and she added 6 to hers. So yeah, that's how they were able to get married. So she is married to this very old man at this point.
Okay.
So after they get married, she decides that she wants to become a nurse. So she starts training to become a nurse. And she finds a midwife who is willing to train her as far as being a midwife. And this woman's name is Ellen Dane. Learned that an easier way, give me a second. She would basically help all of these people who were trying to have kids. And the easiest way for her to do it, and the cheapest way for her to do it, was to have people come to her house. So she opened up her house, and she would provide lodging for these young women who had illegitimate children. And then she would start what she called the farming of the babies. So she would sometimes put the babies up for adoption, A lot of the time she would just let them die from neglect and malnutrition.
Oh my God.
While she's being trained by this woman, she's learning all of this stuff at this time. So at this time, Dane is forced to flee to the U.S. because people started realizing what she was doing and the authorities started coming out. So while she's being taught how to do this, her teacher is like, sorry, heat's on, I have to go. But you can continue to do this if you want.
Oh my God.
So that's kind of what's happening at this time. So unmarried mothers during the Victorian period often struggled to gain any income. So there was something that was put in place called the Poor Law Amendment Act. Yeah. Which basically said that no man owes any woman anything for a child. So if you can't prove that this is my child, then I don't owe
you. What? Basically, you can't prove it.
How do you prove way back then?
It's 1834. So basically, the men who were in charge at this time.
Oh my God.
Like, if you can't prove that this is your baby, then we don't have to pay you. So,
like, unless someone literally watched you make the baby.
Exactly.
There's absolutely no way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, at the same time, it was, if you were a single parent, it was bad. You were stigmatized by everybody. Like, sometimes you couldn't find places to live. There, like, people wouldn't serve you. There was a lot of really crazy things that would happen during that.
That's crazy.
This led to the practice of baby farming, is what they call it. So basically, there was a lot of people at this time that were trying to save their name. And so they just got rid of the kid as quickly as possible. And they made it feel better because this place said that they were adopting and fostering these children, but they really were not. So there were a few different things. They would either do like a regular payment plan, because there was a lot of like aristocrats and stuff like that who they were trying to keep it like very hush hush that they had a baby with this woman. So they would pay whatever they could to be able to just make sure that it was. So there was like a weekly plan sometimes that they would set up with people. Like, as long as we keep this child, you have to pay us every week this much. And sometimes it would work. Sometimes there was like 80 pounds is what it said. So in 1840 something, that's a lot of money. 80 pounds a week. And some of them were 50 pounds, just to like make sure that they were kept quiet. It was like hush, basically. But there were also like a lot of the women that were becoming pregnant at this time were very poor. And because of the act, they were not able, the dudes didn't have to do anything. So they would set up like a one-time payment type of thing where it was like $5 and we'll take care of your babies. I don't think really what they were doing, but
no.
A lot of times what they would do was they would end up just starving the babies. So they were like, I need this money to be able to take care of my family. So these women gave us these babies, and there's nothing we can do. So what they would do, instead of starving them sometimes, to make sure that they would die a little bit quicker, or if they were like super noisy, if they were demanding, then they would give them all.
What? Oh my God.
There was something called Godfrey's cordial. It was also known as Mother's Friend, and it was cough syrup. It was syrup that contained opium. A lot of times they would give this to these children, and there was even a doctor that was noted as saying most of the kids didn't die from overdoses, which means that they were giving them these drugs and also starving them on top. So these kids were dying from starvation, but they were sedated enough that they didn't have to deal with it.
God, it's disgusting.
So
a special kind of evil to do that.
Yeah. So death was either from severe malnutrition, but what they would put on the death certificate for the coroners was ability from birth, lack of breast milk, or just starvation. So there was never any like record of any of these drugs or anything in any of the systems. But
okay,
yeah. Mothers who choose to reclaim or simply check on the welfare of their children, they would often have a lot of trouble, obviously. But a lot of them were so ashamed at what they had done and they had to keep quiet that they never went to the police and said like, hey, there's something shady going on here. Like, you should probably check this out, because they're trying to keep their face and their status in society.
I mean, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Even the authorities would often have problems tracing any of the children that had missing persons reports. So, like, even if they did put a missing persons report, they still were having trouble finding. So Ellen Dane was the one who taught her all of this stuff, to do everything. And she's gone. She's in the U.S. at this point, so she's taking it over. So Dyer has learned all of this stuff, and at the end of it, she has her own dog, and her name is Ellen Thomas. So in 1869, her elderly husband, the one that she married when he was 59, passes away. And Amelia doesn't have any income at this point because she quit nursing because she had her baby. As well as taking in expectant women, she advertised to nurse and adopt babies in the area. And in return for a substantial one-time payment and clothing for the child, she would take your kid in if you weren't able to take care of them. Advertisements and meetings with clients, she assured them that she was a respectable woman, she was married, and she would provide a safe and loving home for the child. 1872, Amelia married William Dyer. He was a day laborer. He was just like a regular dude. They ended up having 2 children together, Mary Ann, who was also known as Polly, and William Samuel. Amelia eventually ended up just leaving her husband. At this point in her baby farming career, decided to forego the expense and inconvenience of letting the child die naturally from neglect or starvation. So she decided that she was going to start just straight up murdering these babies and these children.
Oh my God.
No.
So there was, like I said, there was people that were paying a lot of money for this. And so instead of actually using some of the money to help the baby, she was like, no, I need all of this money. It's for me, is what is basically happening.
Yeah.
So at this time, she's able to elude the police. The police are kind of aware of what's going on. Like she's on their radar, but not enough to do anything.
Yeah.
So she was eventually caught in 1879 after there was a doctor had a suspicion about the number of child deaths that were coming out of her home.
Yeah,
so
that's weird.
Instead of being convicted of murder or manslaughter, she was sentenced to 6 months of hard labor.
Oh my God.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
So this experience to her was enough. It broke her completely. It destroyed her mental health. A lot of people were super pissed about it because of the leniency that they were obviously showing her.
Yeah.
Police, she attempted to resume her nursing career, just go back to regular nursing. Had stays at mental hospitals due to mental instability and suicidal tendencies. were also like the times that she would put herself basically in the mental hospital, they also coincided with times that she needed to disappear. So if the cops started getting too close to her, or if someone noticed something about her, then she would break down completely and go to a mental hospital. It was kind of how she got away.
Wow.
Being a former asylum nurse, she knew how to manipulate the staff enough to make sure that she was taken care of well. That she wasn't really like spending time, and it was just kind of like a vacation for her.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Dyer also began abusing alcohol and opium-based products early in when she started killing all of these people, basically. Her mental instability, a lot of people say that it was because of the drug use, but a lot of people also say that she knew exactly what she was doing and she was just using it. So we don't really know. In 1890, cared for the illegitimate baby of a governess. So at that time, governesses were like, they were up there, like very high in society. When the governess would return to visit the child, she immediately was like, something isn't right. Like this, I don't think this is my baby. And her baby had a birthmark on her hip. And so she took the clothes off of the baby, and the baby that she had given her and said, "This is your baby," was not her baby. So, the constant suspicions from people, like this was happening more and more often, more recently. So it led her to have another full mental breakdown. She drank 2 bottles of laudanum, which it's like an opiate. And that was her suicide attempt. And she had a long-term tolerance to opiates, so it didn't kill her because of her drug addiction in the past. Her suicide attempt didn't work. At this time, she's like, okay, well, I just have to go back to the baby farming because that's what's working the most for me.
God, what?
So realized that maybe one of the reasons that she kept getting caught was because she kept involving doctors in the baby's issues, and they would also issue death certificates for every baby. So at this point, she's like, if I don't go to the doctors, then nobody knows that these babies are dying. So she takes it upon herself to start disposing of the bodies herself. So she's just a straight up serial killer at this point, and she doesn't quite know it yet.
Yeah.
Family would often have to relocate, different towns, different cities, and they would leave because they would start to get suspicious in the area that they were in. So they were like, okay, we got to go somewhere else. We'll be brand new, and then we can also get more clientele because there's more people that are having babies every day.
Right.
So in 1893, Dyer was discharged from her final committal at an asylum. 2 years later, Dyer moved to Caversham, Berkshire, accompanied with a couple of people that you wouldn't really guess that she was with. There was a woman named Jane Ranny Smith, who was just like an old lady that she had met from when she worked at this just place. She just picked up this old lady to come along with her.
Come hang out with me. Yeah.
Dyer's daughter and son-in-law. So Mary Ann, who is also known as Polly, and her son-in-law's name is Arthur Paul. So ended up moving to 45 Kensington Road in Reading, Berkshire, later in the same year. Was persuaded by Dyer to refer to her as Mother in front of the new clientele. So this old lady that she brought along with her, the reason she did was because she wanted people to trust her. And she told people, this is my mom. It's a mother-daughter type situation, so you can trust us.
Right. Oh my God.
And does this old lady have any clue what's happening?
They had to. I feel like you have to know what's going on.
No. Yeah.
But like later we'll talk about it, but I feel like you kind of have to know. Mm-hmm. In January of 1896, Marmon, that is such a hard name for me to say, Evelina Marmon, who was a popular 25-year-old barmaid, had given birth to her daughter, Doris, in a boarding house. So she can't take care of a baby in a boarding house. So she doesn't really know what to do at this point. So he ends up placing an ad in the local paper under miscellaneous. And all it said was, wanted, respectable woman to take care of my young child. What she wanted to do was she wanted someone to take care of her until she had enough money to be able to take care of her herself. So she fully planned on going back to work and taking care of everything, saving up some money, and then going back and getting her child.
Yeah.
So whenever her ad came out at the same time, right next to her ad, there was another one, and it said, married couple with no family would like to adopt a healthy child, nice country home, terms £10. So $10 basically is how much you have to pay us to be able to take your kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Marmon responds to a Mrs. Harding, and a few days later she gets a reply, and the Mrs. Harding is Dyer. So she's making up fake names at this point as well.
Yeah.
Oxford Road in Reading, Mrs. Harding wrote that I should be glad to have a dear baby girl, one that I can bring up and call my own. We are plain, homely people in fairly good circumstances. I don't want a child for money's sake, but the company in my home. I and my husband are dearly fond of children, and I have none of my own. And the child will be in a good home and have lots of mother's love. So she's fully just lying to these people at this point.
Yeah.
Couldn't afford $10 a week. She couldn't afford it. Mrs. Harding was like, okay, well, I have to have some kind of payment. So if you just give me like $10 straight up, and then it'll be fine. So she's kind of like bargaining at this point, and she's like, anything you can give me.
Yeah.
So Marmon, she feels like she has no choice at this point. No one else is going to take this baby, and this woman, she thinks it's okay. So she reluctantly pays her the $10, and then they decide that Mrs. Harding is going to come grab the baby from her. Whenever she shows up, Marmon is like, you're a lot older than I thought you were going to be, because she's basically like a grandma at this point.
Yeah.
And so she was really weirded out, but she didn't really say anything about it because she was so affectionate towards Doris, the baby. So Marmon was like, okay, it's now or never. So she handed the baby over to Dyer. She gave her a cardboard box full of baby clothes, and she gave her $10. She was still distressed, obviously, about having to give up her baby. And so instead of just letting her go, she goes to the station with her, and she goes to the next stop with her as well, just to kind of check and make sure that this woman is still okay. Later, she received a letter from this Miss Harding saying that everything's good, everything's fine, and Marmon wrote back to her and then never heard anything else after that. Dyer didn't end up going to Reading like she said that she was going to. She instead went to 76 Mayo Road in Willesden, London, where her 23-year-old daughter, Polly, was staying. So they arrived. Dyer quickly found some white edging tape that was used for dressmaking. She wound it twice around the baby's neck and tied it in a knot. Later said, I used to like to watch them with the tape around their neck, but soon it was all over. Women would allegedly wrap the body in a napkin. Sometimes they would keep the clothes, and sometimes they would just leave them on the body. paid her rent to their unknowing landlady, and even gave her a pair of the boots that the child was wearing for her little girl.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So the following day, Wednesday, April 1st of 1896, another child named Henry Simmons was taken to the Mayo Road location. At this point, they had used all of their white edging tape and they didn't have any. So she decided that she was going to take it off of Doris's body and use the same tape on this 13-month-old boy.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. 13 months.
On the next day, both of the bodies were stacked into a carpet bag along with some bricks to be able to weigh it down. And Dyer finally headed to Reading. There was a secluded spot near a pier at Caversham Lock that she knew very well. So this is obviously where she was dumping more than one of these bodies.
Yeah.
And she had to force the carpet bag through the railings into the river. Unknown to Dyer, on March 30th of 1896, a bag was retrieved from the river by a bargeman who would just happen to be there. The bag Dyer dumped was not weighed down well enough with bricks, so it didn't sink. It was easily spotted.
Yeah.
It contained the body of another girl who was later identified as Helena Fry. Borough Police Detective Constable Anderson made a crucial breakthrough, as well as finding the label for the station that they were at. He also was able to find something written on a piece of paper in there, and it said Mrs. Thomas, and it had an address, which is wild to me. But at this point, they had enough evidence to lead them to her, but they didn't have anything to convict her. So she was on the radar at this point.
Yeah.
So they put her under surveillance. She was going to try and just leave, but they were like, "Nah, dude, like you gotta have to stay here." The officers decided to use a young woman as a decoy, hoping to use the services of Dyer. And so they were either going to verify that she was actually doing this, or it was just a convenient spot to get her so that she was in this spot so that they could get her, basically.
Yeah.
On April 3rd, Good Friday, the police raided her home. They said that as soon as they entered her home, they were struck by the stench of human decomposition, but there were no human remains found in the house.
It's disgusting.
There was, however, plenty of other related evidence, including white edging tape, telegrams regarding adoption arrangements, pawn tickets for children's clothing, receipts for advertisements, and letters of mothers inquiring about where their children were. Wild.
Horrible.
Police had calculated that within just a few months of them being alone, at least 20 children were under the care of Mrs. Thomas.
Oh my God.
Who we all know now is Amelia Dyer. So when they came into the house, they smelled dead bodies, but there was none there. But they're saying that there was at least 20 people that in the last 1 month that had talked to her.
Oh my God.
It also appeared that she was planning on moving again because she was under suspicion. So she was trying to move at this time. It is estimated that Dyer has killed almost 400 babies and children, making her one of the most prolific murderers ever.
Oh my God.
She was arrested on April 4th and charged with murder. Her son-in-law, Arthur Palmer, was charged as an accessory. And during April, the river was completely dredged and 6 more bodies were discovered, including
God.
Doris Marmon and Harry Simmons. They were Dyer's last victims. She had been strangled with white tape, and she later told police that was how you could tell that it was one of them.
Oh my God.
Yeah. 10 days after her daughter to Dyer, Marmon finally able to get some closure, and they had her identify the remains of her daughter.
Oh my God.
While there was no evidence that was found that Mary Ann or Arthur acted as accomplices. So it sounds like they did, and very possibly they did, but there was no evidence for it.
Yeah.
So Arthur was as a result of the confession she wrote this long confession to a local paper, basically saying that she was the only one responsible. Her daughter and her daughter's husband had nothing to do with this. So he was released.
They knew.
And
they had to have.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
On May 22nd of 1896, Dyer appeared at the Old Bailey and pled guilty to the murder of Doris Marmon. So Lee and associates testified at her trial that they had a growing suspicion and had become uneasy of her recent activities. One said anything.
Said anything?
Exactly. Cool. Also said that the reason they didn't say anything was because every time she thought that something was going on, she just got up and thought. Which is also, I guess, valid at that point.
True, yeah.
Yeah.
Her daughter was able to give a very detailed and graphic depiction of what happened. Did not charge.
But they had no idea that she wasn't there. She didn't do anything. What?
Oh God.
So the only defense that Dyer has at this time was she said that she was insane. She was using the insanity defense at this time. But the prosecution, they were like, nah, dude, we're not. No, we're not playing that game, because the only reason you were ever institutionalized was because you were trying to hide.
Yeah.
And we've caught that. So we know that was not what was going on.
What was happening, yeah.
Right. So it took the jury only 4.5 minutes to find her guilty.
Oh my God, good.
Good.
In her 3 weeks, she was condemned to a cell. She filled 5 exercise books with her last true and only confession. Chaplain visited her the night before her execution and asked if she had anything to confess. She handed him the books and said, "Isn't this enough?" He was subpoenaed to appear in her daughter's trial. And her daughter's trial was set to happen a week after her execution. So they were like, no, after you get your death penalty, you are dead. That's it. So they were like, you can't, you're a dead person. You can't call a dead person to a trial. So they were like, no, sorry.
Yeah.
The night before the execution, Dyer heard that the charges against Polly had been dropped completely, which is still wild to me. Was hanged on Wednesday, June 10th of 1896. Asked, do you have anything to say? And she just said, I have nothing to say. And at 9 a.m. exactly,
she should have been strangled.
I hope it took a while.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm very sorry that you guys now know all of that information, but
I hated that.
That was horrible.
Yes.
It's the worst thing of all time.
Apparently, like, baby farming was like a thing. And it was like a well-known thing, but not everybody just killed the babies.
But they like kept the babies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like adoption agencies, basically, is what it started. It happened, but
I could never.
It's wild. And I'm trying to think, like, it's that time and everything like that, but like killing a baby is killing a baby, and no
Killing-
matter
yeah.
what time it is.
What time
Oh
period
my
it
God.
was. Yeah.
It was wild.
I hate. Oh my God.
Well, good job, but I could have gone without hearing that.
Yeah. Halfway through figuring out this script, I was like, they're going to be so mad. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Man.
That was the worst ever.
It was horrible.
Literally.
It was really bad.
Well, and it's so shitty too, because if you're in such a bad spot that you can't take care of your baby and you're like, I just need to make sure that it's going to a loving home and hopefully I can get them back again.
Mm-hmm.
And then you find out that this lady's just murdering them.
Yeah. And she's like that good of a con man. Like at a certain point, you have to have a serious love for children to be able to do that. And it wasn't about that. It was her being a con man, and this is the easiest thing for her to do. And that's all it was. Her entire family had to be involved in it. The entire
Absolutely.
family.
There's no way they could have lived with her and not. Yeah.
Right. She went to her daughter's house for the last 2 murders. So, like, murdered someone
she
in
like,
my house.
hold on. Well, I'm like, you've had to have walked in with the baby. It had to have made noise.
Yes.
What did you like? Did you like hide it and go into a bedroom and then leave and be like, oh, okay, I'm leaving. Bye. Like, there's no way. Oh my God.
You can't.
What a horrible human being.
Yeah. And this is like the late 1800s too. So like, I feel like it's pretty easy to get away with shit back then. Like, how do you?
Because it's 400.
Right.
400.
Yeah, that's very true. And she keeps traveling all over the place and just starting again.
Yeah. I'd be like, I want some references. I'm like, or something. Like, I wouldn't have just like, yeah, here, have my baby. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess, again, I'm sure times were different, but.
And she was using the fact that at that time, it was a very bad thing, like societally, to have a child that you don't have a partner.
Yeah.
Right.
So she knew exactly what she was doing.
Piece of crap.
It could have been like stopped a lot faster if more people had come forward, but they were so embarrassed of that.
They were so scared. Well, I'm like, shame on you for being more worried about your status than where your baby is.
Exactly.
That's what it was all about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, I was reading this, it was like Bridgerton and American Horror Story, like all mixed into.
Like mixed together, yeah.
I hate
it. For sure.
But, yeah. It's absolutely American Horror Story, like the first one where he's like helping the girls in the neighborhood and he's just using yes, that is absolutely what's happening.
Yeah. Oh, that was horrible. But I'm glad she got caught and I'm glad she got hung and she sucks.
Yeah. And the weird thing to me is that she put like up such a fight at the end to make sure that her daughter was not.
Which is like, so you had to have some sort of love for a child because you wanted her to be happy and everything else. So I'm like, the fact that you can love this baby and you know that all of these moms love these babies the way that you love yours and you're just okay killing them. Yeah.
And it obviously was affecting her because at a certain point she was a drug addict. She had to have all of this stuff. And she even said, like, at first, like, yes, it was exciting, but they're dead. So there's not really that. So she was completely just numb to it at a certain point, which is insanely
horrific. Yeah. Ugh.
I always
have nightmares.
It's like a really bad one when you guys don't even have like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And you're just like real quiet the entire time. I'm like, okay,
I'm trying to dissociate, leave me alone. Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah,
so
crazy.
If we could just try and stay away from children for the next like few
forever,
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah,
that'd be super awesome,
especially babies.
Yeah.
The things that I was reading, they were like
the way they just like talked about like the baby farming and stuff, I was just like, I can't. That is too nonchalant for me. And this is a human child. I can't do it.
And then you said a 13-month-old. I'm thinking like newborn babies, which is still horrific, but
right.
I feel like a lot easier and a lot less stressful on the baby.
Yeah.
But you're talking about a 13-month-old baby.
Exactly.
That's,
so they said
to get taken away from your mother, period, is horribly traumatic for that baby. And then you're going to turn around and torture it. Like,
no.
And why did it take so long for the doctors to say something? Was that a common thing for babies to die in that situation, or was it?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's back in the, they don't have everything that we do now. I mean, if they're born with anything, or if they're born into a poor family or anything like that, I mean,
that's true.
Infant mortality is very, very high.
That's so wild.
Yeah.
So they probably didn't think much of it, to be honest.
Right. So I guess that she was able to get away with it until a certain point when people started realizing that their babies were not their babies.
Yeah.
That's so wild.
Can't do it.
I hate it.
So she's hiding now.
Can't do it.
Yeah, so what are we going to talk about before the episode ends?
God. I'm like, I don't know. What's...
Nothing. There's nothing.
I don't know.
Nothing.
No.
I can't even think of anything funny. My brain's like, sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
I need to go hug my kids.
Exactly.
Wake them up and hug them.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna go wake them up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love you. I'm not gonna send you to the baby farmer.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, on that note, Storm, if they would like to hear any more horrific stories from us, where else can they listen to us?
We are on Facebook, Three Siblings Walk Into a Bar. We are on Instagram at 3SWIB Podcast. Go on there, like, comment, do all the things. Also, please rate and review. It's super, super helpful for us. And go watch us on YouTube. We're on YouTube. And yeah.
What happens when three siblings walk into a bar?